They shouldn't have given you ashy blokes YouTube.
Cursed be the ground for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken, for the dust we are. And to the dust we shall return.
You can't win, you can't break even, and you can't get out of the game. People keep saying things are gonna change, but they look just like they stay the same. You get in way over your head, and you only got yourself to blame. You can't win, child. Can't break even. Can't get out of the game. Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done.
And for all the people that doubted Deion Sanders going to a bowl, guess what?
What's up, boss? You believe that? You hold on. Oh no. Do you believe that? Huh? Oh no. Ah! Oh no. Come on. Do you believe?
Okay, good folks. This is Wednesday, hump day, and I'm punching the clock. Should be taking a day off, but I'm punching the clock today. Tomorrow I might have something very interesting. I'm contemplating. I got I'm editing right now a standalone, okay, about Princella discovering the gynocracy and sounding just like a red pill manosphere man, okay? She's trying to clean it up, but she sounds just like one of us, okay? Princella, one of us. So I may do that one tomorrow, okay? Because she did a whole hour and a half interview. I'm not going to do the whole stream, but I think I'm going to react to parts of the stream because a lot of stuff that she said, pure gold, okay? Pure gold. As Manosphere Highlights Daily says, it's pure gold. Anyhow, Lazarus, what's going on, man? Trail, what's happening? Adric, what's going on, man? Turtle Bitcoin, where's Bitcoin at now, man? Did it break? Did it finally break 100K? I never thought Bitcoin would break 100K. I always thought Bitcoin was too volatile. I thought the Chinese would take it out, but it, evidently it's going to make it. So, for all the people, including me, that had doubts.
What's up, boss? You believe that? You hold on. Oh no. Do you believe that? Huh? Oh no. Ah! Oh no. Come on. Do you believe?
Okay. The Black Toxic Masculinist, what's going on? Shannon Moore. Devon, what's going on? Wolf Among Sheep, what's going on? Hopefully YouTube doesn't bother you today. Carl, what's happening? Toya with my apple. Ah, the forbidden apple. Toya. T. Riddler, what's going on? Toya, if I do that one tomorrow, I might have you ride shotgun with me. Okay? Just in case. T. Riddler, what's going on? Jeremiah, what's happening? The Man, what's happening? Oh, Don Man, excuse me. Is it Don Man or Dumb Man? Don Man, what's going on? NPR, what's happening? Alexander, what's happening? Excalibur, J. Mar. There's the Doc. The best acts this side of, this side of Ronnie Laws, in my opinion. Proud to be a simp. Obsidian Q. Like the intro. The intro, by the way, was He just put it out by Alan Lavelle, the maestro. I had to figure out how to put it into a into an intro. But I like the beat. I like the smoothness of it. So he just put it out. He just premiered it maybe an hour ago, maybe not even an hour ago. So go give Alan Lavelle a like and check it out. Jerry Napolitano. In case you need an intro or something like that, go check out his channel. Hopefully YouTube doesn't hate on me this time. Won't time me out. I was just trying to be dusty to the best of my ability. Maybe you're too dusty. Dane Rose, what's going on? Michael, what's going on? Detro. That's like Michael Swings. Michael. Detro, what's happening? Hey, Big Trick, Leon, what's happening? How's that baby? Eric? Mel? I said, food stamps cuts have already begun. It's about to get real. I guess that winter storm is blowing hard. Okay. Well, you know, a lot of this stuff. There's one thing I say about Biden in the welfare state. Okay, he did because he brought all those immigrants in. He couldn't cut the food stamps. So, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Stuff is going to get real. Stuff is going to get really real in the next, I would say, next 5 years. The women are really going to get the women are really going to get upset. Gundam, what's happening? Terrence, what's going on? Yeah. The beat was fire. That's our maestro, resident maestro, Excalibur. Hey, I saw that clip. Oh, it was a whole show, man. It was a whole show. But I'm gonna do. I did a reaction video to just some of the clips. Dusty Jones, what's happening? It did hit 100K. Okay. Probably be 99K. Okay. Did it hit 100K? Okay. LAPD SWAT, what's happening? As a bill that may make it a reserve. I'm talking about Bitcoin. All XRP is running. Well, XRP's been stuck in the mud for years, man. So if Bitcoin's that high, that means your dollar is shit right now. Hurricane Greg, what's happening? Fero, what's happening? Someone said, please stop the XRP talk. XRP's never gone anywhere. Big Guapo, what's going on? Oh, Kim Iverson can't wait for a point of view. Very interesting too, because a lot of stuff she was saying I've said and other people have said in this space. Jason, what's going on? Okay, you guys don't have to argue about Bitcoin, okay? Bo, what's happening? Ken C and Red, you all right, Ken? You spreading the red pill, man? Mr. Donnie Mack. But really, if you're for veterans benefits and welfare, man, this is probably going to be the administration to go in on because you got about 3 of them that are out in the cabinet. Okay, you got Tulsi Gabbard, you got Hexeth as VP, and no, Hexeth is Secretary of Defense, and you got Vance as VP. So veterans should get a real good shake in this administration. Okay. Oh, Little Trick is doing great. Okay. Ricky, what's happening? Rocky, Quentin, Trouble Man, 313. Life is good. I heard that, man. J3. Oh, okay. Garland Nixon. Yeah. I love them, so I try to, the people I listen to, I try to hip you guys to. I know you guys can't follow everything I follow, but it's the Appleby said, and the dust remains. I know you guys can't follow everybody I follow, but I try to I try to put you guys on to the people I follow, so you can actually do your own research. Hey, Split Jim, what's going on? Did they? Okay. I had heard that I heard they had stood down, but but the thing is, I haven't kept track of it since this morning. So anything could be happening as we speak. May we live in interesting times. Ignite. Well, I almost missed a live myself, man, because I was feeling a little weary, man. So I said, let me go ahead and punch this clock. You know how it is, man. When you get up and you sit on the side of your bed, I said, damn, I got to go to work. But you muster up enough energy to go punch the clock. Okay, this is that day. I need that extra bread before I retire. I heard that. I said, I know you may go behind the wall, but France. Okay, what did France do this time? How long do you think it would take before the pendulum to reach its peak to the right? It's been swinging right since I would say since 2016. It's been swinging right. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what the right is anymore because left and right there is no difference between left and right anymore, and that's what's screwing up the Democratic Party. There is there really is no left or right that's clearly defined. Okay, you got the fringes. Okay, even the fringes are really scary because your populist party, which is normally your left, now has gone Republican or right. So I don't even know what left or right is anymore because you've broken up into all these different identities. So so the Democratic Party is having a what is it? The identity crisis right now. France, no, France will not collapse. What I'm saying is, if France was going to collapse, you see a civil war. But will it go into a depression? Possibly. I don't know. We have to see. But that's always been the that's always been a problem. That's been coming since the Ukraine war. Since they took that big risk and put all that money and put all the chips um, into defeating Russia and really defeating China. And when it didn't work, and China opened up the alternative financial system, which is BRICS, and which countries have been waiting to join. So I knew once they opened it up that there was going to be a big rush to join it because people can't stand being under the West. The West is a boot hill. So I knew financially, if they didn't stop and they didn't kind of correct things, that they were going to get hit economically. I think they're going to get hit economically. I don't know how hard it's going to get hit, but I think it's like 25 to 30% of France's GDP comes from its colonies, and if the African colonies have kicked the French out of the whatchamacallit, out of Africa, then they're going to greatly suffer. I mean, you can't. It's kind of hard to keep your standard of living on 2/3 of your income. It doesn't work that way, especially when you're in debt. And so we already know the middle class educated woman. Uh, Look at all the working class people, and especially class middle. I don't know what that means. Princess rate spiked to now the highest in Europe. Well, yeah, that's going to happen. That means I think it was, who was that? One of the countries in Africa just kicked them out, and I think they were the last stronghold of the French. So I think that's probably what's going on. We might have to just look into it. That means I can play on coin. Okay, that's something completely different. You guys having a Bitcoin fight. So, well, let's go get into this before we get too long. Never understood how the biggest cowards in World War II, France didn't have anybody to fight with because France. You got to remember, the Germans, nations fought the French 4 times. And when they defeated Napoleon, they did the Prussian French War. They formed Germany in 1860 something, right before Germany became a state. a nation, and then they fought World War I and World War II. Those are all Germany against France, the fight over Central Europe. So by the time World War II came, the French had nothing. They were depression. They were decimated by war. They really didn't even have enough men to fight. So the French had nothing. Burkina Faso, yeah. I'm surprised a certain person isn't on the ground. Okay, there. Okay? Just surprised. Because normally a certain person would be in country in these precarious times. But I will say no more. Anyhow, let's get busy.
Someday. Or did he meet you? Did he meet? He didn't meet. No, he hasn't. Because we went out to DC. Yeah, we were out to DC for like the Rage Against the War Machine rally, and he was able to meet a lot of people in the tent. Yeah. Even when I wasn't looking, I was seeing him, in the tent where they had all the people were coming in and out, and he got to meet a lot of people that day. So he was pretty excited about that.
That's so cool. I love that. I love that. I have to start off with this because, I've asked everybody for the most part when they've come on the show, not necessarily to dwell on it. Why did Harris lose? And why did Trump win?
Well, according to the Democrats, it's because of misinformation and a brainwashed society, right? Because Kamala Harris was a perfect candidate. Oh, yes, misogyny, bigotry, racism, right. She was a perfect candidate. Don't you know, Jamal, she was perfect.
Yeah, flawless campaign, perfect candidates. It was Blue No Matter Who, and a few other people said she was a perfect candidate, okay?
She was flawless. The only thing that caused her to lose was Joe Biden. That bastard didn't resign fast enough. I mean,
that's hilarious. That is hilarious. And she's an insider, okay? She does a podcast, but her father and her are insiders. They know all these people. So that's why I'm doing her, because a lot of people were jumping on us saying that we didn't know what the hell we were talking about, and we were making claims that we couldn't back up, and we're seeing things wrong and all this kind of crap. Guess what? Now what is it? It all comes out in the rinse. This is the rinse.
That's the narrative that these idiots have. Right? They just really do not understand.
Say it again, mixed girl. Say it again. She ain't quite white. I think she's white and Asian. But say it again, mixed girl.
And I don't even know how they can look themselves in the mirror and say that with a straight face. But I mean, it makes sense when for the duration of Biden's term, they sat there and said he doesn't have any mental, don't worry about his mental. He's sharp as a tack. We were watching him on TV going, the guy's literally bumbling around. No fault of his own. He got old. I mean, that's what happens with older age for a lot of people. Yeah. And so that's okay that this has happened, but this is kind of like elderly abuse at this point, like what they did to Dianne Feinstein, right? I mean, that was like really.
That was horrible. That woman basically died in office. I mean, right. She looked bad.
Yeah, she was really bad.
Now, the thing is, people don't understand, and this is probably a good reason for term limits, if nothing else, so this kind of crap doesn't happen. The longer you're in Congress just like any other society, right? The longer you're there and you get seniority, the more power you accumulate. So even your voters will not remove you. Why? Because you accumulated so much power. Similar to like Call of Duty or any kind of video game, right? You accumulate so many points, you don't want to get rid of the account because you got all these points and all the stuff that you've accumulated into that thing. You don't want to get rid of it because if you nuke it, you're gonna lose all that stuff, right? Same thing if you change out a senator, a senior senator, or senior congressman, right? If the person's been there over 10 years, that's a lot of power they've accumulated. And the person coming in will have to start from scratch. And a lot of your voters, they get a lot of benefits from that particular congressman or House rep or your senator, especially a senator. There's so much power that's accumulated that a lot of your voters will not displace that person. Okay, Maxine Waters is my mother's age, right? She's in her mid 80s, really her late 80s. Okay, she's in her freaking late 80s, damn near 90, and she's still in office. Why? Not because she's doing such a great job, or they shouldn't have retired like 20 years ago, which she should have. She's accumulated so much power because she's been in politics, man. I was in high school when she's in politics. She's been in politics 50 years, and she's been in Congress 40 years. She's accumulated a lot of power, and voters won't even touch people like that. It's because they've accumulated so much power. So I don't know what can be done about that. That's part of the system. Let me find out. Maybe just as gamer. Not anymore. I used to be. Not anymore.
And I think they're doing that to Mitch McConnell now too. I think they're doing some elderly abuse to him because he clearly
he sat up there and looked like he had a stroke at
Yeah.
the dispatch box. Did you see
Yeah.
that? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it just looks horrible. Like, I don't get why they keep dragging these people out there when they should be at home eating
Because they're like a token. They've accumulated so much power.
applesauce, watching Jerry Springer or something.
they should be watching YouTube. That's what the old people do these days.
Right. I mean, it's astonishing when you see that stuff. And it's like they die on the bench. The woman on the Supreme Court bench died on the bench.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just amazing to me. It's like you
Yeah.
can't find anybody else, nobody else to do that. I mean, Mama Bear is still fit as a fiddle, fair enough. But even
Right.
she's up in the ages. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just amazing to me. And
I don't know why people wonder why this happens. Okay, it's obvious. Okay, they sit. Somebody like Maxine Waters or people like that. They sit on multiple boards, not councils, but they sit on multiple boards. They sit on multiple committees, and wherever they're at, they're senior to their committee. So they have a bigger voice than everybody else. And if you lose that person, okay, the person coming in starts at the bottom. You start at zero again. And if I'm a voter and the person that's in my district has been there 40 years, I'm not gonna vote that person out. I'm sorry. Unless that person really does something heinous. I'm not voting that person out. I'm sorry. Because I like having power.
I agree with you. According to them, blacks were misogynistic. Blacks, some of them were racist. Hispanics were
the presidents have term limits.
Misogynistic. And then they got spiteful about it. They're like, if you get taken away or your family members, you own it. Or you Arabs.
There is no system of government or any system, period, that doesn't get corrupted over time. In fact, there's a very good piece I did from Carol Quigley, right? Called from an instrument to an institution. Okay, an instrument is there to do certain kinds of jobs, certain kinds of work. An institution lives for itself. The church is one of those things. Was an instrument for salvation and for people's beliefs. Okay, it became an institution over time where it acquired so much power. Like one of the most powerful institutions on the planet is the Catholic Church. Okay, it's an institution. It's no longer a religion.
Look at the bombing. You deserve it. And it's like, okay, that is grotesque.
Yeah. They've lost the plot completely. The issue with Harris, and I said this before Joe Biden even took office, before he even selected his VP pick.
Yeah.
I had been saying his VP pick will be Kamala Harris. Everybody should pay attention to this.
Now, that I didn't hear. And I didn't believe it. Somebody, actually, DC told me that, and it didn't make sense to me because there's no way Kamala Harris should have been the VP pick. But she's getting ready to tell you why.
Because she is the one that they have anointed to go next. She is next in line. The reason I knew that was because during the Kamala Harris campaign, when she was running for president, she ended up basically being given the entire Hillary Clinton campaign apparatus.
Boom. The entire Hillary Clinton campaign apparatus. Boom. Okay. Hillary Clinton, the Clintons, and George Soros put her up on game. Okay. She didn't earn it. She was given. Evidently, Hillary Clinton sees herself in Kamala Harris. Who knows why?
Apparatus. They had put all of their eggs in Kamala Harris. They They gave her all of the advisors, the funders, everything from Hillary Clinton, and she was being heavily backed by the Clinton machine. So I knew that for whatever reason, the Clinton machine, they believed in their assessment that Kamala Harris would be popular, that she would end up being the one that would get the nomination. I mean, they thought, they kind of did these calculations, and they totally and completely were wrong on those. And Kamala Harris couldn't even get to the first round of the primaries.
She couldn't because she didn't have that kind of talent. I remember the guy, I forget his name, he said that about the Democrats. He said, you might have the right message, but the wrong horse. And Kamala Harris has been the wrong horse, but they won't give up on her.
She had to drop out before even the first vote. And but it didn't matter. I watched them still. They then kind of scrambled a little bit. They were like, oh no, what do we do? And then they pivoted. And you know who they pivoted to? And this is also an important point, Pete Buttigieg. They then started moving those resources to Pete Buttigieg. And they said Pete Buttigieg is the one now that, but it was a little bit split. There were people in the in the Hillary Clinton apparatus that were not thrilled with Pete Buttigieg. They wanted to maybe go in a different direction. And that direction was.
And why would you try to put a gay man as president of the United States? That you knew that one wasn't going to fly.
Who is that senator woman from the north? She's from one of the northern states. Moderate.
Elizabeth Warren?
No, moderate. I'm talking about like a real moderate. That's like, and she's in between. She's like Minnesota or Wisconsin.
Oh, I know you're talking about.
And they really liked her.
What is her name? She was
kind of redheaded, like. Yeah,
is that the one?
Right.
Like
I think Kamala was. Yeah, I think they both were. But yeah, I don't know which. I forgot the senator right now.
I can see her face. I just can't think of her name. It'll come to me in a moment.
Real moderate. So some of the Hillary Clinton apparatus wanted to go with her, and the others, but the majority of them wanted to go with Buttigieg. So they mostly went with Buttigieg, but it was still kind of split. And then they ultimately, and we saw what happened in the caucus with Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders. They claimed that Buttigieg won. They declared this early before the results of the Iowa caucus. And they were like, Buttigieg wins. And in the end, actually, Bernie Sanders had won, but they didn't actually mention that for a week. They were trying to give Pete Buttigieg momentum. They basically, I mean, whatever you want to call that with voting, but it was really a scam.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Kamala Harris when she first got announced, right? They rigged the polls. They rigged the polls and they bribed the polls. And threatened the press to make it look like she was ahead in the polls. When I first saw it, there's no way you can go from a 35% approval rating with one candidate and then all of a sudden have a 55% approval rating within 2 days. Impossible. Never been done. Especially to a candidate with no likability or no name factor. Okay? It's impossible. That's why I was saying in the very beginning that the polls were bullshit. And she's describing the same thing that the Clintons and the Democrats did for Buttigieg over Bernie Sanders that happened in the right after they announced Kamala Harris. The same kind of apparatus. It was basically it's a rigging. Okay, it's not vote rigging, but the thing is, it's almost like election rigging but with propaganda.
And then, they cheated. And then they.
Well, Biden was going to lose anyway. The reason Biden lost is because Trump lost in 2020. I knew they would. They put up Biden is because at least Biden had name recognition and Biden had experience. Biden is actually a better politician than Kamala Harris. But the thing is, with Biden, the reason Biden won is because of COVID, and they had one last vote for COVID relief, right? I think the last segment was supposed to be a vote was supposed to go down in October, and Democrats were in charge of Congress. I said I knew that wasn't going to fly. I knew that bill was not going to go through. The last debt relief bill, the COVID relief bill, wasn't going to go through under Trump, is because they wanted to kill his election campaign. They did. That was his October surprise, but he knew it was coming.
They tried to get him some momentum so that Bernie would drop out, and then ultimately when they saw that Buttigieg just people weren't taking him either, like they didn't take to Kamala, they then pivoted to Joe Biden, right? But I knew it. And I said, look, they're going to make Kamala the VP because they're going to hope that America will take to her once she's VP in the White House, pictures in the Oval Office.
That was everybody. Everybody has been saying that forever. Okay, has been that she was Hillary Clinton's pick and Soros' pick. Because the rumor is that Biden didn't want her. Biden wanted Susan Rice. Okay, that was the rumor. Okay, now some of this stuff is starting to come out.
They'll give her some tasks, like they're hoping that they're going to build up her profile and people will then
And
like her the next time around.
And they did try. They really tried. I know there's 19 times that I've identified where they actually tried to boost her visibility and boost her credibility. It didn't work.
And guess what? They also gave Pete Buttigieg a position, right? They made him Secretary of Transportation. So they gave those two cabinet positions, Kamala Harris, the most prominent one, obviously. And then when she was, I remember even back when I was on talking terms with Tulsi Gabbard, I even messaged Tulsi when he announced Kamala. And I said, Kamala is going to be replacing Joe Biden. I don't know when or how they're going to do it, but they're going to replace Joe with Kamala. And then I went on my show and I started saying that all the time, like Kamala, I don't know when they plan to do this swap, but they do plan to do a swap.
Yeah.
And they will swap them out.
There was a plan. I think the reason they didn't do it, and I think why Biden resisted that early on, is because of what was going on in Ukraine. What was going on in Ukraine was supposed to take 2 months, 6 months tops. Okay, that stuff backfired. It backfired, and I don't think Biden trusted Kamala Harris to actually clean that situation up. He didn't want to give up on it, so he couldn't trust her in that spot without him. With the two situations going on, the one in Gaza and the one in the Ukraine. That is the reason he didn't resign, not resign, but step down, and that's the other reason he didn't want to drop out of the race. He should have dropped out of the race. Okay, he shouldn't even run again because he was a one-term president. And he knew he was a one-term president. But the thing is, when he decided that he was going to actually so-called run, which he didn't run, okay, they actually cleared the decks for him. Is because of what was going on in Ukraine. I kind of figured that if they didn't solve the Ukraine thing, then they were going to try to keep Biden in office. Okay, they didn't solve it, and then what they tried to do was squash Trump. They didn't do that, and you know what happened in Ohio? And was it in Pennsylvania? Okay, with the earlobe thing, right? Okay, that didn't work. That's when I knew it was over.
And I've been saying this from that whole time. And the reason is just that they had put all of their eggs in Kamala. The establishment likes her because she's, quite frankly, not very bright.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired. I said the same thing, but shots fired.
Not that she's stupid. I don't think she's a stupid person. And I don't buy into the whole, like, she slept her way to the top. I mean,
God.
I do, because I've seen it.
I hate that stuff.
Whatever.
It's not disgusting, but it's true. It's true, Jamal.
Always say, and that is like misogynistic stuff to say about women.
It is misogynistic, but it's true. Just because it's misogynistic doesn't mean it's true. It's not true. It's true. We saw it.
Like, oh, they didn't. I get it that she's not the brightest, and there are people, but plenty of not bright people get promoted all the time, all around us. So I mean, whatever. But she's not very smart, and so they like that. They like a controllable person who they just give her this title, and she's happy to have it, and then they could control her and tell her this is the type of stuff we want you to do.
I told you she's the Bronny James of politics.
Basically the deep state would really be truly running running the Oval Office. And that's what's gone on with Joe Biden. And they wanted to continue that with a Kamala Harris. And so that's what they did wrong. What they did wrong was they never consulted the voters. They decided, and they decided a long time ago it was Kamala Harris. They didn't care that she didn't get any votes in the primary for the presidential in 2020. They didn't care that her ratings went down while she was vice president, that their plan of trying to build up her profile did not work. They didn't care that voters didn't vote her in even during there was no Democratic primary to replace Joe Biden. They didn't even do an open convention. They did nothing. Right. They just shoved her down everybody's throat.
Yep.
And they're planning on doing it again. I
Yep.
mean, that's how stupid they are. They're planning on doing it again. They're like, well, they haven't learned any lessons. And they're sitting there saying, yeah, in 2028, Kamala Harris again. We'll just, this time though, she'll run her flawless campaign for longer and people will love her. And it's just, they're idiots.
$1.5 billion.
Yeah. I mean,
that is a hell of a grift. And
well, you know, a lot of people bought her. So they don't want their investment to go to waste. They want to see her in the Oval Office. They paid a lot of money for her and they've been able to buy an American president. So, you know, what they hope to be buying an American president. And so, yeah, I think that she'll be running again, which is so stupid. I mean, just they need to develop some talent and they need to develop a bench.
I said that. We said that, what, maybe a year ago? They needed to develop a bench, some up-and-comers. We kept wondering, okay, how come they're not trying to develop people for the next cycle? Okay, they never did. Could never understand why they never did. But the reason they never did is because they couldn't let Joe go. Okay, Joe couldn't go is because Joe wanted to finish the Ukraine thing, which he did not. It was actually a disaster. So he's trying to play cleanup, so he can keep his people in office where he was. Okay, he didn't trust her. Joe didn't trust her.
And they lie on the statistics. They say she's still the most popular when we run polls against, you know, when we run her up against like Gavin Newsom or Tim Walz or AOC or like they name all these people and they say Harris is the most popular, which is not true. They lie on the polls.
They say it again. Say it again, mixed girl. Say it again. They lie on the polls.
I think their issue runs deeper than just the bench, because I don't think it's a person issue. I think it's a party issue.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like you have a party that is supposed to be philosophically representative of the working class, because otherwise, what's the point? Right?
But you don't let them vote.
Exactly. Right. Like there's this saying that when the center fails, the wings or the people on the periphery of the parties start to get into the political space because the center failed, right?
Yeah.
It's like the public is looking for the people to do a responsibility, a job. They're not putting you in for anything. And it's like, okay, the center has lost credibility. Okay, who are these people on the wings, the flaming people on the sides? Okay, well, let's give them a try. And so they go to Trump. Trump wins it because they don't have super delegates. They didn't have control of the apparatus. And they go to Sanders. Sanders has a political coalition. And they do any and everything in their power to stop him. Meaning, in that election year, if you were looking for a candidate who wasn't a centrist, who wasn't conventional, Sanders would have won that race. But he was never allowed to get to that. So in the race where you were looking for this kind of breakthrough candidate, you get the most establishment candidate in the history of candidates, Hillary Clinton, versus the breakaway candidate, Donald Trump. I mean, it's they really need to have some soul searching. And if they run Kamala Harris again, they earn another loss.
And the Democratic Party needs to be cleansed. And I think it needs to be cleansed of a certain wing, okay? Okay, I think the neocons need to go. I think the donors are pissed this time. I don't think the donors have said they're not buying into another Kamala Harris run.
I just can't imagine them doing that. From your standpoint,
yeah, but they will. I couldn't imagine that they were even going to, with her ratings having gone down during the vice presidency. I then changed and said, okay, maybe they won't swap him out with her. I mean, they'll swap him out, but not with her, because how could they possibly be that dumb? But they are that dumb. I mean, I gave them the benefit of the doubt and shouldn't have. Turns out they're that dumb. So yeah, they'll run her again. And, you know, the other thing is that they didn't like Bernie because he's like Donald Trump. You don't really know what he's going to do and you can't control him. And the establishment is firmly controlling our government for certainly the Democratic Party at this point. And that should wake up voters. I mean, anytime a party screams about democracy, 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 they're blinding you and brainwashing you into believing that they're the party for democracy, all while they rob you of democracy. And that's what they've done.
A lot of liberal white women actually voted for Trump. So even liberal white women go the other way.
Yeah. What did you think of some of these lefty channels? Because you have two propaganda outlets, MSNBC and Fox. Both of them shamelessly represent their political party.
Right.
Then you get these kind of appendages of the various parties. I don't necessarily know on the right, but on the left, let's say like a Young Turks, a Sam Cedar, a secular talk that basically says vote Democrat, and became Kamala Harris triumphalist. I mean, Cal had video after video after video about how, oh, this new factoid came out and it looks bad for Donald Trump. This looks great for Kamala Harris. And then on the election night, he was like I was telling you guys all through this election, and it's like she lost. I remember David Pakman came out like a week after the election. She says, "Oh my God, I'm losing people. I've been losing subscribers. I lost 10,000s of subscribers."
Well, basically, you look at MSNBC and look at the Washington Post. They lost what 300,000 subscribers over this election run because they're lying.
And he says, I call all of my lefty friends, and all of them have been losing subscribers also. I was like, I haven't lost any.
Yeah, me neither.
yeah. Sammy said, Sabrina, she was like, I haven't lost any.
Yeah.
Like, do you think these people are appendages of the Democratic Party? Do they just agree with the blue no matter who stuff? And more to the point, in my point of view,
and Michelle Obama can't stand most of these people. That's why she doesn't want to run.
Blue no matter who damages the candidate because it allows weak candidates.
Right.
Yes, it does. Blue no matter who does allow weak candidates.
Publicity. They don't seem to realize that.
Right.
Give me your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that for some of those shows, I do think that they're actually funded by these. I like, for example, I think Minority Report with Sam Cedar is funded by MSNBC, or at least at one point was. So
I wonder why
they are sort of
funded by MSNBC. The plot thickens. Dun dun dun. Thank you, Hurricane Greg, for the tacos.
The independent appendage of the mainstream media, and so they are being paid and for those opinions or to stay in line with whatever it is. I mean, but that's why media has lost its bite, for Americans. I mean, Americans just don't trust the media anymore because it's just propaganda. It's no longer.
Basically, Cheyenne Bryan is saying something that black feminists have been wanting for God since the 1850s. Okay, they wanted to replace white women in the hierarchy.
Independent analysis, and had they been honest, they could have said, "I prefer for Kamala Harris to win. I really want her to win, but the party is screwing up, and this is what the party needs to do, and this is what."
Why not Susan Rice? Why they pick? Because the money people, the donors, and the Clinton wing and the neocons and George Soros said that Harris was the pick. Harris was the girl. Okay, that was their pick. They wanted her in by hook or by crook.
Her messaging needs to be, or this is who they should have picked, or, they could give an analysis that still is rooting for their team, but is an honest analysis. And they just fail to give an honest analysis. I mean, when you're sitting there and Joe Biden's literally bumbling his way through something and you're saying he's sharp as a tack. I mean, look at him. He's just never been sharper. People they don't trust you anymore. They're like, what? I mean, you're calling me, the viewer, stupid by trying to tell me that this guy's sharp as a tack when he's obviously not. And it would be better for, and then that viewer is sitting there like, I really want Democrats to win. I'm afraid of Donald Trump. He's Hitler incarnate or whatever. Right. But then they watch these.
I say, Oliver, where if you grow up and your daddy's a drug dealer and he's got to check the house with a 9mm before you walk in and you're raised by your grandparents, you're going to be a little fucked up. Okay.
Pundits and the party lie, and it just destroys all of that trust when really they would have been better served had they just said.
Although, Oliver, how fine was she when she was in high school, though? That's what I want to know. Was she a 9 or a 10?
Yeah, I mean, we got a problem here, and we probably should be holding a Democratic primary and seeing who all these other, see who's up to bat in the Democrat. But they just lost their, and that's why people don't trust the mainstream media. They lie about everything, all for politics. And a lot of these independent ones do as well. And I don't know if it's because they're paid necessarily why they take on, but the brain rot is real. I mean, they're being rewarded. I mean, this is one of the things like I know with COVID and stuff, I don't know. I know you and I had some disagreements on.
No, those were good disagreements though.
But but like an example of this is like, for example, when I was on
By the way,
Rising,
my audience agrees with you on the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
They hate
So-
my point of view.
you know what, Jamal, because it turned out, anyway, the vaccine does not stop the spread. Anyway,
It was never meant to stop the spread. The vaccine was there to certify people to actually go back to work. Vaccines don't stop spreads. Okay, vaccines supposed to boost your immune system to fight off the disease.
so when I was on The Hills Rising, I was on with Ryan Grimm. At one point, my two co-hosts were Ryan Grimm and Alyssa Farah. Alyssa Farah.
Byron Donald will run at some point, but Byron Donald is fairly young. I think Byron Donald is either in his early 40s, late 30s, or early 40s. So he's got another 10, 15 years to run.
Is now on The View. Okay.
Right.
So she got promoted, elevated. Her career got to take off. I got smeared. A conspiracy theorist was written about in the Daily Beast, all for saying the vaccines don't stop the spread. Alyssa Farah, I've got video of her sitting next to me and me saying, well, we know now from all of the data that's actually come out of Israel, because they got the vaccines first, and they were talking about their third dose before we even got our first over here in the United States. So I already knew this thing does not stop the spread. Otherwise, they wouldn't be talking about that in Israel. So I said on air, well, we now know that the vaccine doesn't stop the spread.
No, they actually knew that it was going to break for Trump. Basically, they knew. They already knew. I mean, her campaign, her campaign team actually said the odds of her winning were very, very slim. Okay, they knew that they said their internal poll said Trump was never behind. They knew that she was going to lose. The thing is that it was a miracle. It took $1.5 billion to get her as close as she was. Okay, if it wasn't for all that money, she would have never even gotten that close.
And she sat there and goes, whoa, 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 whoa. That is not true. That is not true. And throughout the entire time we were co-hosting the show together, she painted me as a conspiracy theorist, made it to where I was wrong. But look at who the mainstream media promoted, essentially. Yeah. I mean, they went with the person who sat there and said, that's not true. She sat there and she did the Rachel Maddow routine. She literally said, if you get the vaccine, you won't get sick. You won't get the virus. You won't get sick. You won't spread it, blah, blah, blah. And she said all of that on Rising and got promoted and is now a co-host on The View. So that is the issue with mainstream media, is that they promote, like Rachel Maddow. I don't know what she's ever been right on.
She's nuts.
She's
Joanne Reed also nuts.
And they get promoted. They promote them.
Say it again. Say it again.
They continue, rather than punishing them and saying, guys, like, we are a news organization. We cannot be getting this stuff wrong like this. They're not. They're just like, everybody else is a conspiracy theorist, and you have to believe our dogma and our religion. If you don't, so that's the issue.
There's video of Cristobal, Ed Schultz, Cenk Uygur, all talking about how MSNBC controls the people who are there, meaning they're not just giving their own points of view. I mean, Cristobal even said, well, I would like to be a truth teller, but, I'm a person and I have to function within this organization. And so, I agree with you. And it does.
White Woman Wednesday. You ain't shit, Grinch.
It does feel like those guys, whatever luxury or benefit they get out of it, maybe it's just clicks. Maybe it's just other members of the cult looking at the show and then getting very mad if it doesn't necessarily fall in line. I don't know. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't know what they were looking at. When I was going through the map, it seemed pretty clear that she was going to lose. The only states I couldn't figure out was I was praying that she lose Michigan. And I wasn't sure if my own biases were pointing me to this notion that she was going to lose it. So I didn't know where Michigan was going to go. I think I gave it to her on the map. Every other state I gave to Trump in that sense. And so it was like, okay, I have no idea what these people are looking at in regards to her winning. At worst, it looked like Trump still won, but they went in a different direction with that. I want to also agree with you about media. Media, for me, is vitally important.
Snow Bunny Saturday. Y'all ain't shit.
I think the First Amendment is one of those things that is a luxury in this country. And the attacks on that First Amendment by the Democratic Party have become almost sacrosanct with the party. It's almost like party dogma at this point. Mm-hmm. Like when you hear people on The View saying, all of this talk on social media became a problem for Kamala Harris, which is one of the reasons she lost. So, there's something wrong with that. Or they would say, well, we need our own Joe Rogan. And they treat Joe Rogan like he's the devil, like he's this MAGA extremist right winger. The guy was a Bernie Sanders voter.
Yeah.
And they attack him like a cow did that nonsense.
Yes.
They basically did have.
Yeah, they did have both of them. They had a lot of Bernie bros that turned into MAGA guys.
Joe Rogan. They didn't need their own Joe Rogan. They had Joe Rogan.
He was
as you mentioned, right? When he was a Bernie Sanders voter. They had him. They lost him when they just called everybody a conspiracy theorist, didn't want to listen to the truth, didn't like truth tellers. They wanted people to just stay in line with their robotic messaging. But yeah, I mean, that's that's the stupidity of it. They had Joe.
They had him, and they lost him. Elon Musk was a Democrat, if I'm not mistaken. Also,
they over that Starlink stuff in Ukraine. Elon Musk bounced.
And there's this way the media goes about, like you said, alienating, especially Democrats, alienating these people and everything else. Hillary.
I don't know. Rachel Maddow might be more of a man than Mark Cuban. I'm sorry.
Clinton saying she wants to put people in jail for misinformation, which is one of the most ironic things in the world coming from Hillary Clinton. You get John Kerry saying we need to do something with the First Amendment. Kamala Harris has said stuff about it. Like, Democrats full well believe that they need to control and limit speech. It is terrifying.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, however, is also not immune from it. So Donald Trump came out and said the first thing that he wants to do is to basically bastardize and attack the First Amendment. Now, as we know, Donald Trump got $100 million from Miriam Adelson, and I think he ended up getting $30 million of it, but that money has certainly bought an Israeli first agenda for Donald Trump.
Support.
This is him talking about conflating anti-Semitism with criticism of Israel. This is
okay. You didn't. I said a lot of. I didn't say all. I said a lot of. A lot of Bernie bros. Okay. Musk, basically Musk and Joe Rogan are two of them. There's a bunch of them that were Bernie bros actually turned to MAGAs.
It's extremely dangerous.
Do to defeat anti-Semitism and defend our Jewish citizens in America. My first week back in the Oval Office, my administration will inform every college president that if you do not end anti-Semitic propaganda, they will lose their accreditation and federal taxpayer support.
Okay. At 2, Donald? At 2?
Truth is, you don't have to do much after that. Will you do that? It's going to work miracles. Please sit down. We will not subsidize the creation of terrorists.
Sunny Hostin has read 10+ legal statements live on air because she could not stop slandering people. Somebody needs to get fired. That is true.
Sympathizes, and we're not going to do it certainly on American soil. We're not going to do it anywhere. Next, I will inform every educational institution in our land that if they permit violence, harassment, or threats against Jewish students, the schools will be held accountable for violations of the civil rights law. Very important. Jewish Americans must have equal protection under the law.
They have more than equal protection under the law, which is what this goofball right here is doing. Also, one more, Pam Bondi. So she came out and gave.
Just let you know that these are not Trump supporters. Okay, these are lefties. Okay, Kim and Jamal are lefties. They are not Trump supporters. So what they said about Kamala Harris and the Democrats, these are insiders. Okay, the insider lefties. These are not MAGA people.
Whereas she came out and said something similar right here. Again, going after First Amendment.
They're saying.
Pam, Democrats like Alan Dershowitz have sounded the alarm over the growing virulent strain of Jew haters in the Democrat Party. It appears their agents in the unfettered press are carrying that water. It is dangerous, is it not?
Yeah, it's very dangerous, Chris. It's extremely dangerous. And, you know, you look around, the thing that's really the most troubling to me, these students
What's going on, Blue Marvel?
in universities in our country, whether they're here as Americans or if they're here on student visas, and they're out there saying, I support Hamas. You and I have seen that on all of these television shows. Frankly, they need to be taken out of our country, or the FBI needs.
Yep.
So she wants Americans to be kicked out of America for exercising their First Amendment right.
We'll see how far that goes, because sometimes that stuff is rhetoric, and when you actually get into office, you can't quite do the stuff that you say you want to do. But we'll have to see. But really, it's on both sides. Basically, this Gaza thing is really spiced up anti-Jewish rhetoric. I mean, globally, not just locally. I said, I'm new to your channel. I wish I grew up with someone so informed and willing to share how blessed your lineage is. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Basically, man, I wish I had grown up with somebody the same way. Okay, I really do. So I feel you on that one.
As Americans,
yeah.
What the hell? What the hell?
It's insane. It's I don't even know how to explain it other than just there was a takeover that started in the 80s with AIPAC and the Jewish lobby, ultimately the pro-Israel Jewish lobby, that they look like our government has been up for sale for a long time, and a lot of different industries and interests have purchased our government.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see, and this should be alarming for all Americans, no matter how they feel about Israel, and even if they agree with Trump and Pam Bondi that they want anti-Semitism to be outlawed, they want hate speech to be punished or something, it should still be alarming to everyone.
It was been up for sale. Why do you think that the southern states got slaves to be 2/3 of a person? Because they wanted representation. It's because the southern states actually brought in the bulk of the GDP of the United States. They bought government. Okay, this government has been for sale for a long time. It always has been.
Every American that our government is up for sale, and that it can go up for sale even to foreign interests, that they're able to come in and do that. And they're able to then persuade our politicians to pass laws that are totally and completely antithetical to what America is supposed to be about, which is freedom, free speech, all of those things, right? So there was actually, Netanyahu was the one who actually put this in place when he was working. He wasn't the prime minister yet of Israel, but he started to see in the 80s that the US government was up for sale. And he started basically a campaign to start purchasing American politicians. And that has paid off. I mean, it took a while. It started in the 80s, and this is fairly documented. Started in the 80s, ramped up. But if you remember in the 80s and in the 90s, I mean, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, the group that had more of a control over, the culture and what you can and cannot say and how you can and cannot live your life was really the conservative Christian base in the United States. They were very powerful.
And they have a messianic belief in Israel too. So yeah, it's a big base, the Christian right.
Every politician had to basically do a photo op going to church. Every politician had to say which Christian religion they were. And, they had to really put that out there because that was a very powerful force in the US in American politics. But that shifted after these politicians got bought off. And slowly we've seen fewer of those photo ops. And instead the photo ops are being replaced with Israel's flag behind the politician, going to the Wailing Wall, going to the Wailing Wall. Saying going and speaking to AIPAC conferences or other sort of pro-Israel Jewish lobby groups and organizations, saying like, I love Israel, America's greatest ally, all of the talking points. And that should scare the living daylights out of every American and don't think for a second the other countries haven't figured this out and that industries haven't figured this out. Of course they know. And China has been doing it in a different way and could potentially start doing it this way. I mean, the way that China controls narratives, whether you agree with those narratives or not, is not important because what matters is the fact that there's a lack of free speech, right? So China's been able to control narratives by all of these manufacturers being in their country and then basically saying, if you want to continue manufacturing in our country using our cheap labor, then you cannot be saying this. You know, you're like, for example, if you're Nike and you endorse certain athletes and you're giving them $4 million a year for that endorsement, you know, for them to endorse your product. And then that athlete speaks up against China. You're like, we got a problem and your factory's here in China. So China figured out that America's up for sale through business, that the business class controls speech in America. And that's really accurate. The business class controls a lot. So they figured out that, okay, look, if you want to keep doing business in China, these are the things that you are going to have to cater to, whether you like it or not. And we saw like Mark Zuckerberg, he wanted to expand Facebook into China. And China said, we're not going to let you expand it. This was like, I don't know, 15 years ago. We're not going to let you expand it into China if you're not willing to curb free speech. And Mark Zuckerberg at first was like, no, I'm an American. We can't do that. Like, that's not something we can do. And so he had to give up the business opportunities in China. But then slowly he changed his mind and he was like, well, okay, wait, you know, I do want to do some business in China. He now speaks Chinese fluently. And he's like, yeah, and he's willing to, you know, he's trying to do everything he can to open up the China market and to get Facebook or Meta into China.
And what is the opium of capitalism? It's called profits. Okay, I've been saying that for like 30 years. Anyhow, y'all, it's hard stop. Got to go do some homework. I will check you guys out tomorrow. Hopefully I may do the a play-by-play of the Priscilla sit down. That should be hilarious. Anyhow, y'all, let me check real quick for some cash apps just in case, so I make sure I actually acknowledge people. Nope. Oh, there's one. Larry, appreciate you. And that is it. So, okay. Somebody wants a reading. Okay. All right. Anyhow, let's get out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay. So peace out.
Музыка Денис Шедер.